In today's video, I'm going to discuss the development and use of a slave state variable. Now, these can be helpful if you're looking to save the status of something from one time step to another, and you're working with scripted rules of state variables. So for instance, you might be looking at the status of a gated spillway, and in your script, you might be determining whether or not you need to make a change to the spillway. So maybe you have to open another gate or close a gate. But you also need to know what the status was at the previous time step. So that way, if the determination is made that you need to open another gate, then you know that you're going from 2 gates to 3 gates. Or if you have to close one, then you know that you're going from 2 gates to 1 gate. So what I'm going to do is show a very basic example of how to use slave state variables in order to accomplish this. So the first thing I do is I just make a blank state variable. In this case, I called it storing store. When you create a new state variable, this is what will come up. So basically, I'm not adding anything to the state variable. I'm just leaving it blank. And what I'm going to do is, in my main state variable, I'm going to retrieve storage values and then send them to the slave state variable to show you how it works. So this is the main state variable. And the first thing I do is I go out and I get my slave state variable. So I do that through this command in network, get state variable, and then I let it know what state variable I'm looking for. And I go out and get the previous value of that state variable. Now I do put in this command. Sometimes when the simulation first starts, there really is no value. That can create problems with ResSim. So basically I just tell it, if you're not finding a value, go ahead and set the value equal to 0. I put in print statements when I'm testing state variable code. I do get rid of them once I'm happy with the code because it can slow down the simulation, but I'll show you where to go and find these the results of this print statement. So here I'm going to print out the previous value of the state variable. Also down here I'm going to print out the storage value that I pull from this bit of code here, where I'm actually just going out and getting the storage at the previous time step. After I go and get that value, I then say that I want to now basically just add another point to the time series that is the slave state variable. And so I basically say that I'm going to set the value at the current runtime step of whatever I got for my previous storage value. And basically, that's all there is to developing a slave state variable. Now, in this point here, I just do a very simple extraction of the storage at the previous time step, but typically this is where you'll be putting in some type of code to determine the status of something, and then sending out a new status to the slave state variable for that particular time step. So if you want to see where the print statements get sent to, it's under this console output. I'll go all the way down to the bottom and then work my way up. And here you can see that I have this print statement. And now I'll put some kind of text in here. It just makes it easier to find. So here I have the var sv previous is, and then it prints out the value, and then res store prev is, and it prints out the value. One thing to notice is that it will print out the value 3 different times. And the reason why is because it's making 3 passes. So if you were to go to the report for this particular compute, again, you go all the way down to the bottom, and you can see that for every time step, you're going through 3 compute passes. And here you can see there's pass 1, pass 2, and pass 3. And that state variable gets run 3 times for every time step. So obviously, that's why you're getting that same value printed out 3 times. If the value remains the same through each of the 3 passes, which in our case it did. So that's a quick introduction to slave state variables, but it's a very powerful item in ResSim to be able to track the status of a certain parameter. So thanks for watching this video, and I'll be putting more videos up on the YouTube channel once I have some more time.